Professor Alan Dershowitz and Palestinian politician Mustafa Barghouti were in a debate yesterday on Piers Morgan's show debating the Israel-Hamas war, and Barghouti was asked by both Morgan and Dershowitz whether or not he accepted that Hamas use human shields. Now, by the way, Israel is not the only one to accuse Hamas of using human shields. They've also been accused of doing so by NATO, by the UN, by the EU, by the US, of launching rockets and positioning military-related infrastructure and even tunnels in civilian facilities such as schools and even hospitals. And I'll show you more evidence of that in due course. But I just want to show you what Barghouti's response was when he was asked this. Let's have a look.
You're not answering the question. Do they use human shields or not?
Anna Frank and Hind Rajab are the same. No. What human shield? She was in a car surrounded by tanks.
I'm not talking about
and the
her.
Israelis killed
I'm talking
her.
about
For me, she's a victim
of children
of same Nazi behavior.
I'm not
that
disputing
killed
that.
Anna
You're
Frank.
changing the subject.
You should start to see
You're
us.
changing the subject.
No.
Mr.
See us
Barghouti,
as
okay, let me ask you a question. Mr. Barghouti, let me ask you a question. Mr. Barghouti, you say that the Hamas never use civilians as human shields. In which case, why do they build this labyrinth of tunnels around schools and hospitals and all the places where civilians are going to be? Why would they do that?
No, the question is not like that. The
But that's
question
my
is
question.
why Israel continued
That's
to
my
put
question.
Gaza, which is only... Wait. Gaza is only... Wait a minute. Gaza is 140 square miles with 2.3 million people. Where should people go?
Why do
Gaza
they build?
was
Why
besieged
does?
for
No, hang on,
17
you're
years.
avoiding my question.
Besides
why
the
does
fact
Hamas,
that it was
why
occupied
does,
for such a long
please,
time.
Let me repeat
Where
the question.
would they go?
Let me
How
repeat,
could they fight
let me repeat
with
my
Israeli
question.
airstrikes that
Mr.
are
Barghouti,
killing them around
don't
the
shout
clock?
over me.
Where would they go other than a hospital and a school to put all their military equipment and rocket launchers and to have their headquarters based? Nowhere else to go in Gaza.
I mean, you're asking them... You're asking me a question. No,
I'm asking
let me
you
answer.
why.
If ask
Hamas,
the question, and I
please
will
let
wait
me
for
ask
you
the
to
question
finish
again.
your question.
If Hamas does not want to use civilians as human shields,
Please.
why do they build tunnels around schools and hospitals?
First of all, you are again, Mr. Morgan, you are again repeating Israeli propaganda.
It's not propaganda.
They
We've seen the
claim
footage.
that hospitals were built, that tunnels were under hospitals. Wait, let me finish. You asked the question, let me answer. It's not true what they say. And yes, they built tunnels to hide from Israeli airstrikes, of course, like Vietnamese built tunnels to hide from American bombardment in Vietnam.
Of course.
It's the same. But to say that they are taking...
Yeah, excuse me. And why would they do that? No, there's actually only one reason why they would do it. It's not to hide from Israeli tanks and missiles. It's actually so that they can use human shields. It's a very clear strategy. They think that Israel's going to have to kill civilians in order to get to them. And it's a strategy of creating shame and guilt in the international community in order to stop Israel and paralyze Israel. Anyway, let's continue with his lies and denials.
People, civilians as hostage, as shields, is not true. Wait a minute. I see Hamas fighters on Al Jazeera network attacking Israeli tanks with very little weapons. I don't see them hiding behind the people.
I have proof that I'd like you to listen to. I have
Okay, I'm just going to stop this here before his lies get any more ridiculous and, quite frankly, boring. Before we get to the obvious evidence that Hamas use as a specific and strategic approach human shields, it seems odd to me that one would even say it's unconscionable that they would use human shields when we know that their tactics are pure evil. We know that they have beheaded babies and put them into ovens on October 7th. They did mass rape and mutilation as well as killing and hostage taking. So why, if they're prepared to do all that, would it be unconscionable, unthinkable that they shouldn't use human shields? I mean, it's just unbelievable. And I'm gonna, before I show you the evidence, just one example. Before I do, I just want to stress that I think it's important that while we recognize as a Jewish people that we need to, share the truth and share our side, we also have to recognize that where people are simply embedded in lies and just sharing lies, we shouldn't feel the need to legitimize them by dancing to their tune and getting worked up. He is clearly a man that is just interested in lies. And this is what I've been saying in another previous video, that we've got to realize that the entire Palestinian national movement is a carefully constructed lie. The whole identity, the Palestinian architects that created the idea in the 1960s, and even before that, Hajj Amin al-Husseini, the first sort of real Arab spiritual religious leader of the Arabs living in the region, and Palestinian architects that created the flag and the notion of a national movement from prior times until today, they told us that it's just a ploy to get rid of Israel, and they really see themselves as just part of southern Syria and want to re-establish a caliphate, and it's really just part of Islamic domination, and Israel for them is so threatening simply because it goes against their whole idea of how history is meant to progress with Islam conquering the world. So what does it mean that you have this Jewish state that's re-emerged after 2,000 years? Like, what does that mean about God's relationship with the Jewish people? So that's why it's threatening to them, and that's why they're prepared to literally lie, cheat, steal. That's what this is all about. So the lies have become even more obvious, and we should be grateful for that. But we've also got to realize we've got to perhaps not get so worked up by them and simply state the basic facts and know with utter confidence that what they're saying are lies. And the basic facts are that this is our land. It's Jewish land. But let's have a watch of this video.
I'm here in Gaza City. We are here next to a house of a terrorist. This is one of the senior terrorists who is the head of the operational naval operations that led the raids into Israel. His house is right next to a school. His house is 200 yards from the hospital of Rantisi. Next to his house, there is a tunnel. Now I want to show you an operational tunnel. The tunnel is built with electricity. We first saw the solar panels, then the electricity goes here, and it goes down directly to the tunnel. Now you can see the tunnel. You can see the tunnel. The tunnel is let down more than 20 meters down. The robot found a door that is bulletproof. It's explosives proof, so it looks like a hard evidence, a clear evidence that the hospital direction is connected. This is a covered tunnel. It's part of the same floor and it slides down here. So it's a covered tunnel so nobody can find it. This is Rantisi Hospital. And this is the place where I showed you the tunnel. I want you to see. This is the back side of the hospital. Hamas used this hospital. Tonight we have entered into this building. I will show you the evidence. Let's enter into the hospital. We're now entering into the area of the hospital where we had found the evidence. This operation was conducted by Israeli Special Unit, the Israeli Navy SEALs. This is still an operation that is conducting. And I'm showing you the first evidence to see. We are now in the area of the basement of the hospital. I want to show you a room where we found all the gear, the operational gear of Hamas. Hamas is using hospitals, like we showed the evidence in Shifa Hospital. In other hospitals, we are now seeing it in live in Rantisi Hospital. An operation still conducting right now. Look at what Hamas is holding inside the hospital. I want you to understand, this kind of gear is a gear for a major fight. These are explosives. These are vests with explosives. Yeah, it's a body vest for terrorists to explode on forces. Among hospitals, among patients, we have hand grenades, Kalashnikovs, and then we have the RPGs. People shooting RPGs from hospitals. This is Hamas, firing RPGs for hospitals. The world has to understand who is Israel fighting against. We are now in the basement, and in this basement we found a motorcycle. They were all used. in the massacre of the 7th of October. They even have bullets in this motorcycle. So they came back from the massacre on the 7th of October into Rantisi Hospital with hostages on a motorcycle. We're still researching this. Yards from here, we find the chair, a woman, clothes, and a rope. A rope next to the legs. And look above this. Look above it. It's a baby bottle. It's a baby bottle in a basement. Above a World Health Organization sign. This is a suspicion for an area where hostages were being held. We're now looking at an infrastructure. You don't need to build something improvisedly in a hospital in the basement. Unless you want to hold someone in the basement, you don't want anyone to see him. Again, we're in the same basement, and here we see diapers, and we see, I don't know, maybe something. We see diapers. I want you to see this room. It's in the basement of the hospital. We can see this area is a closed area from the rest of the hospital. We can see the ventilation air that was done improvisedly to this area. And we can see infrastructures that was built in here, toilets, shower, a small kitchen, will provide the terrorists their needs. Also conduct a hideout where terrorists take hostages and hide out. And I will show you now the evidence. You're now entering into the room where we suspect the hostages were being held. I want you to look at this room. People are putting curtains with nothing above, just wall. No reason to put here a curtain unless you want to film hostages and deliver movies.
So there you go. The point of this video is really just to say, I don't see why, if you cannot acknowledge basic facts about Hamas and about Israel and about the Jewish people and who we are and our connection to land, then you need to go back to primary school, quite frankly. You need to grow up, get out of your delusions, get out of your lies, and start to understand some basic truths about the nature of this world. I'm Ollie Annisfeld and you're watching JTV.